Hello everyone, welcome back to the KaroKirsch podcast. My name is Karo and this is episode 10 of my little podcast over here on the interwebs. It's been a very long time since I uploaded an episode, and yeah, it's been the summer and I've actually done quite a bit of knitting, so there's lots of content to come, but I just didn't manage to edit. Actually, I did record one episode kind of a month ago maybe, but yeah, never edited, and then now I thought I'll just record a new one and hopefully I get to edit this one. But if you see it, then I guess I managed. Yeah, just a heads up, there might be a few cuts coming up because, as I just said, there's a lot. But I just kind of want to hold it all into the camera, and then if it ends up being way too much, then I'll just edit something out afterwards. But that way I have everything in case I do want to share everything. And I'm trying to be a little bit quicker about all the projects, that I'm not dwelling too long on every single one. But yeah, thanks for coming back if you've been here before. Otherwise, hello, welcome new viewers. Yeah, my name is Karo. I am a knitter and artsy person living in Germany, and today is a very gloomy day outside. I hope the lighting's okay, but this camera seems to be doing pretty well. Yeah, let's just get started. I have 4 finished objects, which is a lot for me, but again, it's been a long time. I have more than I can count works in progress. I'll show you the ones I'm actually working on currently, and then I did some spinning, I did natural dyeing. I might show you some acquisitions, and I'm just gonna leave the whole art segment out for today because frankly that just is not anything worth showing. And yeah, I've definitely been higher on the knitting mojo than the art mojo. Yeah, so let's just jump straight in. You can follow me, other than on YouTube, on Instagram, even though, again, over the summer I wasn't very active there. I'll try to, maybe I'll pick up over the winter, who knows. But you can follow me there anyways. Yes, so, okay, enough of that. Let's just start with the finished objects. The first one I want to show you is actually 2 finished objects in one, because it's 2 pairs of socks. Oh, sorry, this one looks awful because it was just all crumpled up. I already wore these. They're not freshly blocked or anything. Yeah, but I knit these with a ball of Zauberball. I believe the colorway is called Sanduhr. But I'm not too sure, to be honest. And I don't think there was a ball band, or if there was, I lost it. I don't know. Yeah, so sock number 1. Definitely sisters, not twins. Oh man, this one looks awful. But they fit really nice. I might actually have found my personal sock recipe. So I knit these for me, and I did a 1x1 twisted rib, then just stockinette, and I believe this one's called Eye of the Partridge heel. I really like this one. I think I like this more than the Fish Lips Kiss heel, and I think I've got it down now, which is what I like most about this, that I don't need instructions to follow. And then, I don't know. Oh yeah, no, I did actually do a left and a right sock. I don't know if you can tell, but this tapers here. So this is my left foot. And then the right one, obviously, tapers the other way. So yeah, I'm really happy with these. I think I knit them with either 1.75. Yeah, I think 1.75 millimeter needles. And yeah, I really like the gauge. I also just stuck to a different kind of tensioning my yarn. That way it's tighter. And I did get used to knitting. Like usually I wrap my yarn twice around my index finger, and that's all I do. That's how I usually knit. But if I knit socks, I just wrap it one more time, and that obviously gives more friction and is a bit tougher to pull the yarn. But yeah, I got used to that way of knitting for these socks. And since I had some left, I knit a pair for my daughter, Lana, but unfortunately I measured wrong. I just kind of measured as I went, but taking in for the toe then shortened the sock way too much. So unfortunately, they're way too small right now. But that's okay. Either there's going to be a happy other child that gets these, and yeah, not either. That's really the only option that's gonna happen with these socks. And I'm just gonna knit her another pair because I actually still have some left. I don't know if it's enough for a pair of socks though. I'll see, but she'll definitely get another pair from me because this happened really, really fast. Yes, so 2 socks. Who would have thought? The other finished object is... Okay, I had a little accident here. So the next finished object is a shawl, a huge shawl, and you haven't seen me cast it on. You will just see the finished object, and that's why I'm not gonna talk too much about it. I want to make sure that I'm showing you the front. I don't know if I can show the whole thing. So this is a triangular shawl with, with some garter stitch, some twisted rib, a very nice lace section, more twisted rib. This is actually a short row stripy section. That's where the shawl gets asymmetrical, and twisted rib, and what's this called? Brioche twisted rib garter. And that's it. That's the Everything Shawl by Vera Velimäki, I believe. I did not write that name down, so I'll definitely put it down here that you can see for yourself. But yeah, I always wanted to knit this shawl. I've seen Nora of the Cat and White podcast knit this shawl all in green, and I really like that shawl, her version of the shawl. And I always thought I would do the same just in blue, obviously. Yes, so when I did my natural dyeing, I get to that later, I dyed some blue mohair. So this is the blue mohair I dyed up with indigo. And that's when I was like, yes, I really want to make that shawl now, because one of the yarns obviously that's recommended is mohair. So I was just waiting for some blue mohair, and I still had that quick strick yarn from my advent calendar. You remember maybe that fade where I had a pure blue, and then I was looking through my stash for a third blue that I could use. But then I came upon this crazy pink, which was also a skein I got in a mystery D-stash, and I never found anything to use this with. And then I saw it with this blue, and I just thought, that's a match made in heaven. I was definitely looking forward to this stripy section, and then also in the brioche. I really, really love this. I mean, as you know, I'm not a very pink person, but having this screeching pink in here, I think looks really, really nice. So I'm very happy with this shawl. Again, the Everything Shawl, I'm not sure if I mentioned that, by Vera Velimäki. I really hope that's the right designer. It might be, it's definitely a Finnish designer, but I hope this is the right one. But I'll put it in. Yes, so that's that. I knit that during my summer vacation mainly. Not because mohair is the best summer knit, but because I just dyed up this awesome blue and I really just wanted to knit with it. And yeah, I'm looking forward to wearing this. It's actually getting cold enough to wear this indoors sometimes when I'm working here and it gets cold because we don't have the heating on yet. On a day like today, for instance, would be perfect. Yes, that's that. My last finished objects is actually one that you've seen, but I put it at the end of my finished objects just before the works in progress, because I'm going to turn this into a work in progress again. It's another pair of socks, the ones you've seen. And I already had finished the first one and I finished the second one, and this is what happened. I made the second one way too short, so I'll just have to open it up again and knit probably an inch or something and then do the toe again. So I'm not going to talk too much about this because you're going to see this again. But that leads me into the works in progress, which this sort of is. And I think I'm going to start with the projects you already know. I'm just going to quickly show them to you because I've talked about both of these long enough. The first one being my shifty. It's still going. It's still going, but I'm on the body. Hang on. But yeah, since I made quite a significant amount of progress, I thought I would show you again. So I think last time probably was somewhere around here. So I knit quite a bit on the body. This was sitting, I basically picked this back up like maybe 3 weeks ago or something. So yeah, this was lingering a little bit while I was knitting on my shawl, obviously. And I decided, because the contrast between the gray and the blue is very stark, it's not kind of the gradient that I originally intended to do. And the blue is also running out a little bit because I need to leave some for the arms, obviously. I'm thinking of just finishing with the gray again because I do have a little bit left to maybe do like one row of the big and one row of the small pattern repeats to finish it off. I think that might look nice, but I still have quite some ways to go for the body because I want it long. I'm not doing the crop version as it is in the pattern. And yeah, but I like it. It fits rather tightly, to be honest, but I'm not gonna open it up again. I think it's okay. It's not too tight, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I really hope I'll actually wear it because it is going to be a very warm sweater too. And I don't know how well the combination tight sweater and warm sweater will go for me. But I don't know. If it's really not for me, then I guess I have to give it away. But I'm not going to open up the body again. I'm just not going to do this. I guess you know why. Because, yes, you know why. So, but yeah, that's my shifty. Andrea Mowry. Love this. Even though it's giving me a lot of headaches. Okay, the other one you've also seen. Where did I put it though? And this is turning into a tragic project too. It was going so well. I'm speaking of my flaxlate, which I'm knitting with the leftovers of my rose cardigan. It's yeah, Filculana Anina wool in light gray that I dyed up in a blue-gray gradient. And I finished the body and I started on one sleeve. This all happened probably like 2 months ago. And that's when I realized that I split wrong for the sleeves. Like it's all shifted. I don't really know. It's just me. It's basically the same happened to me when I was knitting my boxy, where I just split wrong for the sleeves. So it would all be, I don't know, I would have to wear it like this or something, which basically means I have to rip out the whole body. I don't know how else to fix this. I guess I could try to rip out the top, but I don't really know if that's easier, to be honest. And the other thing is I mean, in the camera, it doesn't really show that much, but I wasn't happy with the gradient because the top marled blue is darker than the bit that I have in here. So I wish I would have swapped them around. So that's kind of what I'm thinking I might just do. Just rip out the whole thing because I would basically go back up to here and then redo the whole thing. It's either redo the whole body or just rip up a few more centimeters. So that's where I'm at here. Needless to say, this has been just in the naughty corner for 2 months, but it feels so nice. This would be such a nice sweater, and it's obviously very, very simple design, so that's always nice, and it would be nice for the fall, but I don't know when I'm going to get around to that. So the last work in progress, and I'm super excited about this one, and it's obviously the one I'm working on currently, is a little sweatshirt for a friend of my daughter, like her playmate. And it's not a design you can find on Ravelry. It's actually, how do I start? I'm gonna insert a picture of my daughter actually wearing said sweatshirt that my mom knit for her, and I really love that. My mom already knit that one for my nephew, and then I wanted one myself. And yeah, it's super cute, very colorful, very stripy, and she got that pattern from a magazine. She sent me that page that she had, like, it's a segment that big that describes how to do it. It basically just says cast on XYZ stitches, knit up a rectangle, then knit up the arms, put it all together on your needles, do some raglan decreases, then knit on a hood, and then put a border around. That's virtually what it says. Like, it doesn't give you any specific instructions. So, and I think that's because I looked up the designer of this, and she's called Hannah Ström. I believe so. I'll put her name down there, and I think it's called the Zebra Cardigan or something like that. And you can just buy those sweaters. And I guess they were making some advertisement in the magazine and then put a little bit of knitting instructions there. And that's what my mom used to knit 2 versions of this, and I think she's actually in the process of knitting a 3rd version for another baby, one of her friends, kind of grandchildren. But anyways, I really love that. I love my daughter in it. It just looks super cute with the hood on and the little point on her head and stuff, and obviously with the detail with the buttons in the back. It's just, I love it. And yeah, I wanted to knit one again for my daughter and one for her friend, as said, so they can run around together looking like real friends. Partner, we say partner look in German. But anyways, yeah, so here is the first piece. I decided to not do a super colorful version, even though that's half the cuteness, I know, but I really wanted to knit with my leftover stash yarn that I have. So let me walk you through this. So the dark gray, which is obviously my main color because that repeats every second stripe, and I'll do all the borders with that color too, is my Wollmeise yarn that I used to knit my Zweig sweater with, and I actually still had a fair amount left. Oh, I'm sorry. I think I had like a full skein of this, and that's why obviously I use this the most. Then I have this green, is one of my natural dyed yarns, the one I dyed with Mahonia. And I also have nearly a skein. I mean, I say leftover yarn, but they're all just cracked in skeins, basically. But my mom used a bit of that for some stockings she knit for me. I'm going to show you those stockings, but I'm probably going to wait for Christmas time and not an episode where I already have way too much to show you guys. And then this white is an actual scrap, and I'm actually fearful of running out of that color, so I might just have to buy another one. We'll see. This is leftover from a sock yarn I was knitting. I think it's Lana Grossa Tweed or something. I'll put this project into my Ravelry, and then if you're curious, you can look up the yarns. And then this one is my hand spun. It's actually one of this advent calendar bundle mix. I'll insert a picture of the skein. I think I held that into the camera. I must have. But it's one of my early hand spun, and I can definitely notice that during knitting. It's very thick and thin. And in general, it's much thicker than the rest. Like the rest is definitely a fingering, light fingering, and this is definitely a sport, if not even a DK. But I don't know. I think it's cool. I think it adds some texture and it doesn't show up too much. I mean, you can see it comes out a bit at the border, but this is also the one that's most likely to felt, and that's actually gonna be an advantage that way, because if it felts, then it'll obviously shrink a bit, and then it might just shrink to the size of the rest of the garment. So yeah, so this is basically the body, and I am working on the first sleeve. And what I really love about this project, other than it being a scrap project, is that I'm actually using my knitting skills. Like so far, I've only really knit following directions. But as I said, the directions of this are so loose, and I had to use a different cast on stitch anyways, stitch count. Because I have I'm using a thicker, like she uses like super tiny needles and super skinny yarn, and I don't know, I want this to be done and I want to knit a second one, and all before Christmas. So anyways, yes, so, and she has you knit, I mean, she just said knit the arms up. That's what she says. It doesn't even say anything about decreases. But I think I'm going to do a few decreases. But yeah, I'm knitting top down because I don't really know how long I want to make them yet. I'm just going to hold it on to the sweatshirt I already have for my daughter. And that way, obviously, don't really know what color stripe I would have to start. And I have a specific repeat. So I'm just knitting top down that I can just follow the repeat and stop whenever I'm done. Or whenever I think it's long enough. And yeah, and for that I used what's it called? It's not an improvised cast on, but it's the one where you do crochet and you just cast on what you need. And I've never done this before, actually, so I'm very proud. I mean, I just knew you do a crochet, so I thought, okay, I'll do a crochet chain and see if I can knit some stitches into that. I guess I'll be curious if I can manage to rip out the crochet, but I guess you just have to undo the right end, and then you can just pull it out. That's what I'm assuming. I did start it wrong. Like, I should have... Once I knit into my crochet, I should have purled the first round because it's garter, obviously, and I knit the first round, which was already the second one, and that way I'm weaving ends in as I go, which is actually another thing I've never done before. But yeah, with all these stripes, I really don't want to do this after. And yeah, it's fun, but yeah, since I did this the wrong way around, that's where I was going. I have to do this on the outside of my knitting, which is also interesting, but it works, and it'll be very satisfying when you're done. You just chop off the ends and you don't have to weave them in. I mean, I'm going to block it first and then I'm going to chop it off, but yes, very cool, very fun, and it's going very fast. I think I cast on this project like 2 days ago. So yeah, and I'm already done with the body. Obviously, after this, I have to knit the second sleeve, and then I'll put it all together and do the raglan. And then again, there's the hood, which is basically the same. Like, it's not quite as big, but it's still gonna take me some time. And but yeah, very, very enjoying this. Actually, I can just show you my hand spun. I don't know why I said I would just put a picture in, but yeah, this is this hand spun, and I have a whole cake of this, obviously. So yeah, I really hope I can get 2 sweatshirts out of it. I would really love to really be them being the same. So yeah, I don't think I'll have enough of this. I'll probably just have to order another skein of that color. You've seen it. I'm not going to pick it up now. But yeah, so number 1, a good progress. I hope I get number 2 done before I burn out of this project too. But it's very fast. Yeah, but that is all of my knitting. I'm just gonna, what am I gonna do? I think I'm gonna quickly show you my natural dyeing, and we'll see. We'll see if I keep in all these segments. Again, I'll edit out if it gets too much. I'm sorry if it gets too much. Yes, but natural dyeing. So as you've already seen with my shawl project, I dyed some yarn, and quite a bit of yarn, with indigo. The funny thing is, you probably remember my very first natural dye experiment with my nettles, which ended up in this ropey colored yarn that I was so excited about, but that was just because it was naturally dyed. And yeah, my mom would really wanted me to over dye it with some color, and I decided on blue because she likes blue as well. And that's what I did. And I don't even have the yarn to show you. But as you remember, or you probably don't remember, but let me remind you, it was 350 grams of yarn. And I have my natural dyeing color book, and I just followed a recipe there with indigo, and that was a recipe for 200 grams of yarn. And I thought I'll just go with that, and if it doesn't turn out blue enough, I can always over dye again. But I just wanted to give it a go and not waste too much of the dye powder. So that's what I did. I think it was 2 teaspoons of dye powder. And I managed to dye the 350 grams of that yarn that I can't show you now. But I still had so much color left in that dye pot that I just threw in yarn. And more yarn, and more yarn, and even more than that. I didn't even take out everything I had. I dyed so much yarn with those 2 teaspoons. By the end, like this was one of the last in the last batch. I think I did 4 or 5 batches of yarn, and then it finally wasn't doing a full coverage. But like, I think these ones I put in after I dyed those 350 grams, and they're still so crazy blue. I also dyed the mohair, obviously. And yeah, I got so much color out of that. So I don't know, something's iffy with that book, or something's iffy with me. I guess something's iffy with me because I make so many mistakes. Everything turns out differently than what I expect. But yeah, this was a good surprise, and it was a lot of fun. I mean, it is quite the process. I mean, it's not just throw in your natural dye stuff and let it simmer and take it out. It was definitely a bit more involved than this. But yeah, it's fun. It's really cool because when you take it out of the water, it's all just like this weird greenish yellow color, and then once you wash it and it gets in contact with oxygen, that's when it turns so blue. And it's really fun watching this. But yeah, so I have a lot of blue yarn. And yeah, I'm definitely going to do this again, but take less dye powder. That's for sure. But yeah, that's all with my natural dyeing. The Mahonia berries are actually ready now. And I did pick some at my mom's garden because she really wanted to get rid of them. But then when I left, I forgot them. So now they're in my mom's freezer. But yeah, I think next visit I'll just bring them with me, and then I'll do some more yarn dyeing. And that actually leads me to my quick acquisitions segment, which is basically just a lot of natural colored yarn that I want to dye. With Mahonia, I also really want to dye with my avocado that I collected since last year. Basically every avocado I ate since then I still have, or just the peel and the stones, and I stopped collecting the peel because it was getting so much that now I'm just collecting the stones, and I think they give the nicer colors anyways. But yeah, so this is 400 grams, and I am not 100% sure what it is. I think I got Cormo, but I have to double check with where I'm buying this. It's Das Wollschaf. It's a German yarn shop, and they just have a huge variety of yarns and fiber there. Anyways, but they just send them like this in plastic bags, and yeah, you just have to label them yourselves. But yeah, so I'm going to dye that probably with a Mahonia. Okay, I'm sorry, the battery just died, and it just tells me I'm already way over time, so I'm gonna edit some of this out, but who cares? I'm just gonna continue. Yes, but the other thing I got at the Wollschaf shop, because next to normal yarn they also have fiber, is some yak. And oh guys, if you could touch this, this is just so soft. So I'm very excited to use this, but the plan is not to spin this on its own, even though that would just be luxury pure, but I don't know how to care for something like this because I think it would pill like crazy. So I got some merino, which is also a very pilly yarn, but whatever. Some merino to spin this together with. So I've seen a hand spun yarn, and I'm going to insert a picture right now while talking about it, and I'm just in love with this. And that lady, I'll put her handle here, she's on Ravelry, and she hand spun this obviously, and she also inserted a picture, and I'll insert it now, of the top that she bought. It's not a very good picture. It doesn't show you exactly how it's dyed, but it definitely gives you some idea about the colors and how they're spaced out and stuff. And I'm trying to mimic that, and that's what I'm planning to do with this. I really want that hand spun yarn. I mean, I know it's going to look different and all that, but I just love how it turned out, how it looks like. And yeah, so I'm aiming to redo that. I want to dye this with acid dyes because I'm not going to be able to achieve anything remotely similar to that with natural dyes. So I want to try, yeah, just achieving something similar along those lines. And yeah, I'll obviously tell you about it. The original idea was to kind of card those two together on my blending board, because that's what I have. I don't have a carding machine, and I'm not gonna buy one. It's crazy expensive. And then dye it. Kind of, I was thinking of dizzing it off my blending board and then dye it, but I tried that. I can show you what came out of it. This is some of that. It's not extremely blended that way anyways, and it's super flimsy. It's not, the structural integrity is like nearly non-existent, and I'll never be able to dye this without felting it or taking it out in a way where I can still kind of spin from it nicely. So I decided to don't do that and just dye this, and then try spinning from this, which will just be a nice kind of top, and then hold it together as I'm spinning like this, or maybe strip this down. I don't want it a 50-50 kind of thing. We'll see how that goes. I've never done this. I know you can draft that way, kind of have two separate tops or whatever. You can like combine color that way, but I thought, why not combine fiber that way, like different fiber types. We'll see. I don't know how this staple length compares. I'll have to look into my smart fiber types book, but I'll let you know how that goes. That's what I have planned with that. Very excited about that. But speaking about spinning, I have one kind of half finished object, half still work in progress, and that is the Harvest Use fiber in the, is this the Juniper colorway? Hang on, I did actually write that down. Yes, this is the Juniper colorway. And I have one finished skein. Hang on, how do I show this? And it's super, super fine. This is definitely the finest yarn I've ever spun. Got to do with the fact that I did a 2-ply. I think the other yarn where the singles were similarly thin, I did in a chain ply, meaning 3-ply. Yeah, but this is just a 2-ply. And yeah, love it. I mean, it's a very solid colored yarn, but again, it's like blue and green mixed. But yeah, very, very happy. I don't really have any stats on this yet. I didn't measure this at all because, as you can see, it's already caked up and I kind of already have a plan. But maybe I'm not going to follow through with that plan. But that's why it's already caked up and I didn't really do the stats, because I thought I could just do the stats on the rest that I still have to ply. So the singles are done. And yeah, I have this much left to ply together yet. And then I just take the stats of this. And I'll know it for this. But yeah, I was originally thinking of finally doing the Vertices Unite shawl, which I think is on my Ravelry queue for at least 2 years, probably 3. But the yarns, and I'm not going to show you because I already have way too much that I picked out for that, would be such a nice gradient as well. So I don't know. And I also have the problem, I also have that 3-ply I just mentioned in there as well, and the gauge is not going to match up very nicely. So we'll see about that. But anyways, very happy with how this turned out. I could also just do one project with this because I have so much of this, because I still have the other yarn that's not plied yet. So we'll see. Just haven't decided. Just stop rambling, Caro. But yeah, I think that marks the end of this podcast. I know it's been very long, or maybe not. Maybe I added it down to a normal length. Anyways, I'm very glad if you managed to watch it all the way to the end. Thank you very much for that. I hope you'll have a lovely day and tune in for the next one. Bye bye.